So, I want to talk about Season of Splicer today. This is going to be my review. There's nothing really happening on screen, it's just some generic gameplay. So, if you want to listen to this in the background, that's cool. Like, that's what I mean this to be. I'm just going to talk about Season of Splicer for a bit. And I think the best place to start, it wasn't my favorite thing about the season, but the best place to start, in my opinion, is the loot. Of course, this is a looter shooter, so it is one of the more important things. The loot for Season of Splicer, in my opinion, was great. I think Season 15 does have some more standout weapons. But Season of Splicer did have some great things to get. I think the seasonal armor did look cool. The Lightkin robes on Warlock I really like, and I like a lot of the Splicer aesthetic of those ornaments, so I can see why someone wouldn't like the armor necessarily, but personally I think it does look pretty good. The Splicer weapons also have a cool aesthetic, but their rolls is where they stand out. Ignition code is so good. I love it. It's the only kinetic grenade launcher that isn't sunset. It rolls Vorpal, it rolls Slide Shot, it has spike grenades, it has blind grenades. It's great. I love Ignition code. Chroma Rush, my favorite auto rifle at the moment. It's also kinetic, but it's a 720, and it feels like we don't get those very often. And Chroma Rush it just works. I love it. It has a great recoil pattern. It has great perks that it rolls. It's just great. Grid Skipper, Rapid Fire Pulse Rifle, which I think we've been getting a decent amount of recently. Like, I know for a while we weren't getting any, but the Darkest Before, which is the Trials of the Nine Pulse Rifle, that came back. Grid Skipper came out Season 14, so Season of Splicer. So I'm glad to see that archetype coming back, 'cause even with a garbage roll, it still feels great for Crucible. I know a lot of people do like the Splicer Slug Shotgun, which it has some rolls that I like. I'm personally not the biggest fan of it, but I do have a God roll, first in, last out, and okay heritage, and a good Blasphemer. So I'm not really looking for a Slug Shotgun at the moment, unless something comes out that's just way better. So it just didn't really pique my interest personally. Vogue, all those weapons are great. For the most part, I'm not a huge fan of Praetus Revenge. I've never been a big fan of 140 snipers. So, I mean, it isn't for me personally. I wish we would have gotten Atheon's Epilogue, Praetorian Timefoil, and Praetus Timepiece back. I don't know why those three weapons didn't return, but just talking about the weapons we do have, found Verdicts back, which... if you play Crucible, that might not be a great thing, or it might be a great thing. Fatebringer is always going to be good. Vision of Confluence is great. Hezen's Vengeance, I love that thing. Overflow Vorpal on a rocket launcher is fun. There's just a lot of great things in Vogue weapon-wise. The armor, I'm not the hugest fan of the Warlock armor, but the Titan armor looks great. I just want to talk about exotics here for a second. Vex, when it came out, bad. Now, after the buffs to it in Season 15, it's great. It's exactly where it should have been on launch. Chirocesiia, I'm not a huge fan of it. I'm not trying to really get it anyways, so that doesn't... It just really didn't pique my interest personally. But the armor exotics, you had Boots of the Assembler, Star Eater Scales, and then Path of Burning Steps, I think, is a Titan one. They're all good. Boots of the Assembler filled a niche that really needed to be filled because Well-Locks only had a few exotics. They had Phoenix Protocol, Lunafaction Boots, and that's pretty much it. Now there's also Stag and Boots of the Assembler that fill out more roles. Of course, Boots of the Assembler let you do some more ranged buffing, I guess you want to call it. Stag gives damage resistance now, but that's beside the point. It filled a niche that wasn't filled by Well-Lock by itself, but it also doesn't give you the same buffs as the other two. I guess it kind of competes more with Lunafaction than Phoenix, but Falling Star, it's kind of a Celestial Nighthawk replacement, but it also generates your super faster, which is also cool. I'm personally more of a fan of Celestial Nighthawk when I play Gunslinger, but for Super Gen, I love Star Eaters for Revenant. After Radiant Dance Machines do get nerfed, it'll still probably be it will come back as the best Revenant legs, probably. And then Burning Steps, I know they got nerfed not long after their release, and then Stasis also got nerfed in Crucible, meaning that it got used less after that. But I think now that we're seeing Stasis in PvE, and especially in this week's Nightfall that I'm recording this, so last week, it's Hollow Layer and the Scorn have Stasis, so... And it prevents freezing, or when you get frozen, it releases a pulse of solar energy. But yeah, it has uses. If you have Terra, it could be great. If you have Prometheus Lens and you're able to get enough special ammo to keep it going, it can be great. There's a lot of things that make Path of Burning Steps great, but I think now we're seeing more Stasis in PvE. It's only going to get better. Now I'm going to talk about story for a second. Personally, I really liked it. I think the pacing was great. I think that's something Bungie's been doing really well since Chosen. Is just pacing. The weekly in and out, you get a little bit more story. The only thing I really have a problem with is that one Taken Orb that spawned in the tower and then disappeared in like a week or two. That was kind of weird. And when the Solstice came in, it felt a little weird, but at the same time, I wish it moved more within the story, but like we got to see more of Season of Splicer within Solstice of Heroes, because that's kind of what it felt like as a party after killing Quria, which I want to talk about that for a second. Quria is a big bad we've been hearing about for a while, and if we really just killed her in that one expunge mission, it's kind of a disappointment. Like, I get that she was basically the final boss of Season of Splicer to a point, but I kind of wish she was a raid boss, or at least a strike or dungeon boss. Because she has been built up, and then if we killed her and then did the Endless Night, then I don't know, it just doesn't feel quite right. But like maybe as a simulation of Quria, we don't know, maybe. And if it was part of Savathun's plan to bring Mithrax to the tower, she would have known that they needed to end the Endless Night in order for for the Alliance to actually take hold. So maybe Quria isn't dead, but at the moment it looks like we actually did kill Quria, which is kind of a disappointment that that's how Quria died. But who knows? We may see more in Witch Queen. There's still a lot we don't know. But seeing Osiris go off and that leading into season 15, that was it's interesting. I think I like it, the way it happened. Seeing humanity and the Elixir actually get along is cool. I do like the story more than I like Chosen, and I really did like Chosen a lot. So just seeing them improve season over season is great. I hope season 15 can meet that expectation I have now. I love Season of Dawn, and then the two most recent seasons were great. But yeah, my biggest thing that I don't like about Season of Splicer was Override, and I can't really pin down what it is about it. I don't hate Override by any means. Like, it is fun the first few times you do it, or like if you take a break from it and come back to it a few days later or a week later, yeah, it's fine. I like it. And it's enjoyable for a few runs. But it's just not like, it's not Menagerie and it's not Sundial, where you could play that for a long period of time, multiple times a week, and it's still fun. Battlegrounds, you can do a lot too, but that's just because how dense the enemy population is, so you can kill a bunch of ads. Override really didn't have that, but it also felt weird. Like, I've heard it before, and I'm not sure if I completely agree, but I've heard someone say at one point, it feels like Override was made to be a 3-player activity, but they felt like they needed a 6-player activity, so they made it 6, which I kind of agree with. I think Override could be more fun as a 3 or 4 player activity as opposed to 6, but I don't know. It does also feel like it was geared towards 6 at the same time. I think season 15 has done a great job of just doing better at that. I also like how there was expunge and override. So you do override, like just the cleanup stuff in override, and then you go to expunge to actually like do the big things in the story. And I like that dynamic of gameplay where you just kind of do your housekeeping and then you actually get down to it and do what you need to. But yeah, Override is my main complaint about it. The well mods were great, and just seeing that system expand. But yeah, there was a lot of things in Season of Splicer that I liked. The mods were all great in the artifact. So many grenade launcher mods. It's no anti-barrier sniper, but you know, can't really come back to that. But yeah, that's gonna be about it for my Splicer review. I really liked it personally, and I hope that they can keep up story-wise with that. And I hope we do get to see more of Mithrax. And I think there's some development with the spider, like trying to get out of the Tangled Shore. So maybe we see an interaction between them. I just want to see more of that specific story of the Elixni coming to the last city. But yeah, I really liked Splicer, and I hope that so far it looks like my complaints are getting better. So yeah, I hope Bungie keeps on moving in a positive direction.